Marcelle, Dr. Tiny. What are you two up to today? Oh, I see. You're drawing your favorite dinosaurs. Here. Let the viewers see that. Yes, okay, so Dr. Tiny, you like ankylosaurs. And Marcelle, what have you got here? Oh, that's a Mononychus. Well, can you two tell me why they're your favorites? Marcelle? Oh, you like the Mononychus because he's so specialized. He doesn't have full hands. He just has one big finger on each side. That scientists think is for digging into termite mounds or other insect hives. And Dr. Tiny? You just like ankylosaurs because they're all armored and have those club tails and you think it's neat. Well, that's a perfectly good reason for liking a dinosaur. Oh, you want to know my favorite dinosaur? Well, I've had so many over the years. I like ankylosaurs too. And I'm never quite sure if it's pronounced Deinonychus or Deinonychus. I've only ever seen it written down. And I was into Diplodocus for a while, and Tyrannosaurs, of course. Usually my favorites are mosasaurs, but of course that's not really a dinosaur, just a reptile that lived at the same time. But these days, I mostly like big. So whatever the biggest sauropod is at the time. And right now, that's the Argentinosaurus. There's others that, could be bigger, but they don't have enough bones, enough proof to say how big they are exactly. So the one that they're most certain of, that's the biggest, is the Argentinosaurus. How big is it? Well, if he stood in your backyard, he could peer down at you if you were in the front yard. Oh, you want a little more context. Okay, 2-story house. And he's in the backyard and he can peer at you. Well, I could show you a picture, but pictures never really give the proper feeling of size. So, I have something prepared. Hello, Mac. What's that? You don't think he looks very big? Well, that's because he's sitting on the floor. Let's bring him up to the table. There we go. Yes. If you two were human-sized, this is how big an Argentinosaurus would be compared to you. Mostly neck. And then they have this big body so that they can process all that plant matter they have to eat. And then they have the tail out back to balance out this neck. I'm not really sure why they're necks need to be so long or why they're so big. But it seems to have worked out for them. Now, another interesting thing about the Argentinosaurus is that they're a titanosaur, which are the sauropods that were there in the late Cretaceous. They were like the last sauropod group that existed, which means that they were the ones most adapted to be sauropods. They went through the most changes to be themselves. And while most sauropods, when they walked on their front feet, excuse me, Marcelle? Their feet would be like this. But over the years, they needed to be even more, stable on their feet. So they lost their fingers completely. And they walk like this. On their metacarpals. So as you can see, that's why his front feet are just kind of stubs, while his back feet have toes. Now, the Argentinosaurus was the biggest one, but the littlest sauropod was also a titanosaur. And that little fellow, is the Magyarosaurus. Now, he was also a titanosaur, so he also didn't have any front toes. He just walked on his, not even his knuckles, straight on his hand. But he was probably a case of insular dwarfism, which means probably on an island, so there's not as much space and not as much food. So instead of it being advantageous to be big, it was better to be little. So yeah, he would have been, you probably could have looked a Magyarosaurus in the eye, whereas you could barely look an Argentinosaurus in the knee. And even then, for the humans watching this isn't the best, scaling, because the blobs aren't really human-sized. If they were human-sized, it'd be great big things. You guys want to play on them a bit? There we go. If he fit in his stomach, he'd eat you, but he wouldn't because he's a herbivore. And he wouldn't really fit down his neck either. Just so many dinosaurs, and so many of them are interesting, and who knows what my favorite will be in another year or two.